Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident cultural warrior. All right, so let's get right into it. This ought to be good. Okay. Um, yep. Oh, I just hit my microphone. Sorry about that. All right. This is coming to us also from Startifacts, and it says Genius Meme perfectly nails Lord of the Rings' biggest problem in a nutshell. Let's see what they have to say. Who cares about the eagles who could have taken the ring to Mordor at this point? The Lord of the Rings fans can't stop asking, why wouldn't Gandalf simply send the hobbits to Mordor on the great eagles instead of pushing them into a journey full of dangers and deaths? We already discussed this on a previous video. But it turns out that that isn't even the only plot hole in the story. And to understand that, you only need one Twitter meme. Quote, it's taken me ages to realize, but if Frodo had led a chicken along on a bit of string and made the chicken carry the ring all the way, no risk of Frodo turning evil. Sure, the chicken might turn nasty, but realistically, how much damage to Middle-earth can one evil chicken cause? Said Twitter user Andy Riley-ish. Basically, ruining the Lord of the Rings for a lot of people. And there you see the post. The fact that Frodo needs to go on a dangerous journey across Middle-earth and encounters so many dangers, including the danger of turning evil under the influence of the ring, has been a huge problem for John R.R. Tolkien's universe, to say the least. From the infamous why not the eagles theory to the evil chicken plan, it looks like the Fellowship of the Ring, in fact, had many ways to deal with the issue of the ring delivery without having to endanger two small hobbits and have many allies killed. While the chicken idea seems like a joke, it does actually summarize the Lord of the Rings' biggest issue, that all the inconsistencies and dangers are just there so the story could happen. However, if one wants to argue with the evil chicken plan, there was always room for potential problems. Quote, but when the string breaks, you have an invisible chicken to catch, Twitter user Chris N.J. Williams noted. Besides, there were plenty of occasions when the hobbits ran out of food, so they might have ended up cooking the poor chicken and then having to move on with the ring on their own hands. Still, the fact that one meme offers a better solution to the story's main problem than the books and the movies did is quite telling for Lord of the Rings. Quote, this is exactly right. The eagle get out clause is really lame storytelling, and like, we think they're dead but they're not. The professor can't resist using it again and again and again, Twitter user Mr. Snowd said. Looks like the Lord of the Rings just had to make things extremely complicated. But let's be honest, that might also be why we love the story so much. And this is also coming to us from Lois Everett, okay, also from the 14th. So now, for those of you who have been keeping track with today's videos, we had one from Lois Everett from the 12th. And that was the Eagle Theory one. Then we also had from the 14th, we had the Tolkien canon is not fixed in stone because Tolkien himself was constantly changing it all the time right up into his death, and therefore that makes it okay for Rings of Power to change Tolkien lore. And that was on January 14th. And then this article from Lois Everett, also on the 14th, basically says that there's a big, huge ass problem in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings work because you could solve it by having Frodo and them put the ring on a chicken. I'm assuming like tie it around his neck or something like that, and then just lead him around on a leash, and that would have solved a lot of issues. I don't even know where to. This is one of those theories where, now I said that how the eagle theory was asinine, right? And if you haven't, go check out. It's the first video that dropped today. right? And I called that theory asinine because basically it is. This is beyond that. This is just taking stupid to a whole new level. Okay. And it literally shows that your only point of reference to Tolkien and his work would be either through Peter Jackson's movies or through Amazon's series. In order to make this argument of, well, why not just tie the ring around the neck of a chicken and then lead the chicken around on a leash, it just shows that there's just so much you're not getting. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. Like, one of the reasons why this wouldn't work, okay, is because, and I don't know if a lot of people get this from, if they're just seen the movies or the show, and they haven't read the books. The One Ring, it's not just like Sauron just created this magical ring, right? The One Ring, Sauron literally put part of himself into. And what I mean by that is on a spiritual level, right? Part of what makes the ring so powerful, and it's stated, is that Sauron poured his malice and his will to dominate, okay, into the ring. Okay, it is literally on a spiritual level, on a metaphysical level, it is part of him. As long as the ring exists, Sauron exists. Okay. Now, having said that, the ring is not just like a sort of MacGuffin. That's the term used in movies. Like if you ever see Pulp Fiction and they open up the chest and you see the glowy light, but you don't ever actually see what's in it, but it seems to be the thing that everybody's sort of interested in. That's a MacGuffin. It's a plot device, right? It's like the J.J. Abrams would refer to it as a mystery box. Okay. The ring is not just a MacGuffin. It's not just there because we need the heroes to have some reason to go to Mordor, right? Gandalf specifically states that the ring wants to be found. It wants to return to its master, okay? And it does things and manipulates situations in order for that to happen, okay? And we see this because and you guys may know this, but people who aren't too familiar with Tolkien, who would actually give this chicken theory some credibility, might not know this, is the ring is not just one size. It can adjust size. And you see this in Peter Jackson's film, right? It's on Sauron's hand, right? And then when you see Isildur holding it, it's like this initially. Like it's like a big ass ring. And then it sort of comes down to man size, right? But then when Isildur uses it to go invisible, the ring gets big again and to fall off of his finger. It increases in size so it can fall off his finger. Thereby, he's no longer invisible. Thereby, the orcs see him and kill him, right? So the ring is an active participant in wanting to get back to Sauron. If you think that this spiritually endowed device of evil that has brought to their deaths kings of men like Isildur, that Gandalf, and who is a Maiar, recoils in fear from, because he doesn't want to be persuaded by it, right? That Galadriel, the oldest surviving elf in Middle-earth, understands, and has to, quote unquote, pass her test to prevent being seduced by the ring, right? If you think that you can just strap that to a chicken, and it's everything's gonna be fine, you're fucking stupid. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, that's not how this works, right? Even in a fantasy non-real world, it just doesn't make sense, right? So, Gandalf specifically says the ring wants to be found. It wants to return to its master. And we see throughout the story the ring actively doing things to try to get itself back to Sauron's possession, right? Remember, this ring talks to people, okay? That's not just a stylistic choice that Peter Jackson used. Like, whenever you see Boromir or somebody's holding the ring up, you know what I mean? And they're staring at it, and you hear that, like, they're not just hearing, that's not just a stylistic thing for the film. They're actually, the ring is actually trying to persuade you. It is actually, you're hearing its voice in your head, right? It's trying to suck you in, right? Seduce you with power, right? So, you can't just strap this thing to a chicken, right? Because it will find a way, okay? Either it drives the chicken mad, so the chicken pecks at the leash until it gets away, and now you have this chicken running around with a ring around its neck, which of course will miraculously show up at a farm, and some farmer will be like, hey, look at that, a chicken. Oh, and look, he's got this really shiny ring strapped around his neck. And before you know it, now the ring's back in Sauron's power, or in possession. So, I mean, like, this whole idea, and I've given way too much time. Like, I've been talking about this for 12 freaking minutes at this point, and I'm just like amazed because it's just so utterly stupid. I'm sorry, it just is, and I don't mean this to be an attack on any individual, but I have to say, like, Louise Everett, I don't understand why she's just coming out with these, like, articles of that I'm literally sitting here scratching my head going, have you not read any of the books? Like, do you not know? Are you just like looking for things that people posted online and you're just going to write an article about it because you have to have a quota of articles? Like, this is just dumb on so many levels. And it doesn't work. Like I said, the ring wants to be found. It wants to end up back, in Sauron's possession. You can't just strap that to a chicken and think that solves the problem. Like, it's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But yeah, so that was the third article. And like I said, these all came across, my computer relatively at the same time. But I did happen to notice that, we had one from the 12th, and two from the 14th, which I found to be interesting. I found it to be an interesting coincidence. But anyway, let me know what you think. Like, these ridiculous, like, theories, like with the whole, why didn't they fly the eagles to Mordor and just drop it in from above? Or this one, let's just strap Sauron's ring to a chicken and, lead it around on a leash and everything will be fine, because that makes a whole lot more sense. But what I'm really curious about is I'm curious to, obviously, to get your take on that whole theory, right? I'm pretty sure I know what most people's take on that theory is going to be. But I find it interesting that this is now two articles that this author has come out with, which basically the recurring theme seems to be that there's a lot of plot holes apparently in Tolkien that none of us were apparently aware of. Like, a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies. So apparently Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings are not as laudable as we're making them out to be. Apparently we're turning off our critical thinking when it comes to Tolkien and his writings, because apparently there's plot holes galore that can be solved with chickens and eagles, and apparently the people coming up with these stupid ass theories have a thing for birds and fowl, because why not a puppy? I think it'd at least be cuter than a chicken, right? But anyway, I digress. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I really am interested in hearing what you guys think. Like I said, I just saw this and it was just like one of those things where it's like, where's the Advil? Right? But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, please do so. It gets it seen by a lot more people. And, that's, we want to get the word out about like Tolkien and, his works and what it's really all about, and trying to mitigate the damage done by that show and articles such as this. If you haven't subscribed but are considering it, I would appreciate the consideration in subscribing. We're trying to build a thing here. It's slow going, but much like hobbits, we are keeping a positive outlook, and we will keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are awesome. All right, guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I will talk to you in the next video. Remember, be good, be safe, be awesome. I'll see you then. Peace.